Hello there people, this is Bruce Cool or nintenbruce here, and we are back on Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's Decade Duels for the Xbox 360 with a well-requested deck. So this is the Volcanic deck that I've been using a lot recently, and I'll just say one thing straight off the bat. Don't expect this one to win lots of battles, okay? Only because, well, the game's limitations, as I always mention, means there isn't all the support for this particular deck type. You know, Volcanics, Aliens, I know there are others out there, Battery Men as well. There isn't all the support, so don't expect this one to win every battle, but do expect it to throw your opponent off guard and to capitalise on that as well. And that's not to say that, you know, once you surprise the opponent and they know your tricks, that they're going to win. You know, this does put up a good fight. So, as per usual, let me go through the monsters, spells and traps, some of the combos and whatnot, and I'll explain some of the weird effects of the Volcanics. So, starting off, one Cyber Dragon. You know what I'm going to say. Special summon, tribute fodder, sync fodder, blah 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 blah. One Marshmallow, kind of debatable for this deck. It's not a bad addition. I would probably replace this with another Volcanic Shell, either that or something else. You'll find that I've only got 2 Volcanic Shells in this deck because of the lovely trading inverted bracket system of this game. Yeah, so I would definitely say run 3 shells when we get to that point, but Marshmallow is there to fill up that space as well as absorb damage. So even if you do have all of the monsters required for this deck, and you're thinking, oh well, I do like Marshmallow, by all means feel free to leave him in because he can absorb quite a bit of damage, especially as there isn't too many beat sticks in this, but I'll explain about that a little later. One Plague Spreader, why not, that's your only tuner. One Royal Firestorm Guard. It is possible to play with 2. I probably wouldn't suggest 3 if you're planning on getting the effect tons. What you'll see next to this is the UFO Turtles. Remember, they're not Pyro types, okay? So when this card is normal summoned, select 4 Pyro type monsters in the graveyard, return them to the deck like Pot of Avarice, and then draw 2 cards. So pretty decent effect, and does recycle a lot of monsters which are used for a few combos, which I'll show you a little later. And you know, 1700 attack, not too bad, especially when it's powered up with Volcanic Destruction. One Sangan, why not? 3 UFO Turtle, as already mentioned, does not combine with any pyro effects, but does work well with creature swaps, which I'll show you a bit later. Helps you get out a few other fire monsters. I'd probably suggest Volcanic Counter or Volcanic Shell if you haven't already got one in the graveyard. But yeah, on 1900 attack with Volcanic Destruction, which I'll show you later, this is a beastie to behold. And also, not a lot of people remember that UFO Turtle, when combined with a Cyber Dragon, makes that Cyber Fortress Dragon or Commemorative Fortress Dragon, whatever it's called. So yeah, do remember that. Very nice staller as well. 2 Volcanic Counters. Now, this is going to be one of the unique effects of the deck. So, very weak monster. Can be used with Blaze Accelerator, which I'll show you later, as well as Search with Sangan, blah blah blah. When it's in the graveyard, if there's any other fire type monster besides other Volcanic counters in the graveyard, and you take damage, whether it's you attacking the opponent or the opponent attacking you, then it removes itself from play and the opponent takes the same amount of damage you did. So say if someone attacks you with 5-headed dragon and you've got this in the graveyard along with Volcanic Hammerer, say, then Volcanic Counter will remove itself and your opponent takes 5,000 damage as well. So pretty sick, and it's a really good effect considering you discard the monster from your hand with Blaze Accelerator. Again, more on that a little later. So again, 2 of them. 2 Volcanic Hammerers. I find 3 is a bit much considering you don't get much field presence with the type of monsters that you'll be discarding, say. But Volcanic Hammerer, definitely a worthy addition. 2400 attack, which is almost top for the tribute monsters. And also, if you're in a bind / stuck with Swords of Revealing Light, then activate its effect instead of attacking, and you do 200 damage times the amount of monsters in the graveyard. Well, Volcanic monsters. So again, you'll see some of the graveyard effects later. But yeah, nice little beastie there. And with Volcanic Destruction, it runs over things like Dark Arm Dragon and whatnot. 3 Volcanic Rockets. That's a definite must in this deck. So although it doesn't require other volcanics to get an effect, once it's summoned by any means, then you get the choice of grabbing a Blaze Accelerator from the graveyard or from the deck. So definitely do that, thin your deck out, and yeah, 1900 attack, very, very beastly. 3 Volcanic Scatter Shots, you cannot run any less than that because its primary effect involves all of them basically. So in general, when it's sent to the graveyard, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. No, that's quite nice, especially if you've creature swapped it, say, and you attack it, your opponent still takes 500 damage. Or if your opponent uses card destruction, again it happens. The only time it doesn't seem to happen is when you use it in conjunction with Blaze Accelerator for the first Volcanic Scatter Shot. If you choose to use its primary effect of sending all Volcanic Scatter Shots to the graveyard, which by the way there has to be more than one there. Let me start that again. There has to be more than one monster on your opponent's side of the field to do that. Then you do get off 1000 damage from the other 2 which go to the graveyard. So yes, very, very nice. Volcanic Shell, like I say, you have to run 3. This deck would run a lot better for myself if I had 3 as well. In a nutshell, when it's in the graveyard, you can pay 500 life points and get another one to your hand. Seems useless, but it's fodder for your Blaze Accelerator. Remember, you can use creature swap with it as well. Yeah, there's tons of little things that you can do with it. That's all it's there for, fodder really, Blaze Accelerator / give to your opponent. And then to finish off the monsters, Volcanic Slicers, we have 3. So it's the main sort of normal beat stick of Volcanics, 1800 attack, and if you choose not to attack, you can deal 500 damage instead. I usually suggest, if you start off with this on your first turn, summon it, just to, you know, get off an effect and some cheap damage. 500 damage doesn't sound like a lot, but it soon mounts up with Volcanics, especially if you're in a stalled situation. So, you'll notice with this deck as well, 23 monsters seems like a lot, but the rate that you get the monsters out, it's not very much at all. So 23 is a good amount for a Volcanic deck. Moving on to spells, so one of the key cards here, Blaze Accelerators. You can get away with 2 of them because of Volcanic Rocket's effect, but I run 3. And its effect, send 1 Pyro-type monster with 500 or less attack from your hand to the graveyard to destroy any monster your opponent controls. But if you do that, then you can't attack. Hence the side effects of Volcanics, like Volcanic Slicer and Volcanic Hammer, causing burn damage instead, basically. So very, very nice little effect. And again, if you use it with Volcanic Shell, then you know, pay 500 life points and get the other 2 Volcanic Shells into your hand so you don't draw into them. It's kind of nice to use it with Volcanic Scattershot straight away so you don't draw into them as well. Yeah, fantastic little card. And remember, you can set one as a dummy if you run into 2, and even if it's destroyed, Volcanic Rocket gets it back from the graveyard if you've drawn out the rest from your deck anyway. So yeah, 3 of those. Brain Control, why not? Creature Swap, beautifully constructed for this deck. I can't stress enough how many times it's saved me here. So yep, say someone does something crazy like get out an elemental hero with X attack, 5-headed dragon, Volcanic Judicator has even happened, then hell, you know, summon a UFO turtle or a Volcanic Shell or anything extremely weak, and yeah, creature swap it. Why not, eh? Why not? 1 Giant Grenade, Heavy Storm, Molten Destructions, only 2 of them. I do find that the attack is okay for this deck without them, but sometimes you do need that big little boost. Forgetting the defense part of it, because you're not going to be summoning things in defense position usually, unless it's a really weak monster anyway. And like I say again, UFO Turtle on 1900 attack, that helps you run into a lot of the normal beat sticks out there, as well as summon out another monster. So do remember that. Monster Reborn, why not? Remember with Monster Reborn as well, that you would get certain effects applied again with the special summoning, like Volcanic Rocket, again Volcanic Scattershot, run that into something to cause 500 damage if that's all that's needed again. Yeah, so don't just think of strong monsters in that regard. Mystical Space Typhoon, Mirror Force for traps, 3 Royal Decrees and Torrential Tribute. You'd think you would need a lot of negation with this deck, but honestly, because of the destructive power of it, you do not need a lot at all. Just got to watch out for some of the spell back row, like Swords of Revealing Light. Admittedly, this deck has a bit of a problem getting over that, and notice there's only really Mystical Space Typhoon and Heavy Storm to stop those sort of continuous spell effects. Can't remember if I've said it already, but Torrential Tribute, bog standard. Now, seems like an average deck as it is, but if you're playing in a match, this is where things get super interesting, as well as work in your favour with running such a unique deck. I cannot stress this enough again. So, 2 Dust Tornado to counter lots of continuous spell cards, why not? 2 Light Imprisoning Mirrors, because you don't run lights. Well, apart from Marshmallow, but again, debatable there, and Cyber Dragon, but Cyber Dragon's effect will already be there anyway. Magic Cylinder. Seems a bit cheap causing damage, but you might run into those decks which just concentrate on beating you down, and Magical Cylinder definitely turns the tide in your favour. 3 Royal Oppressions. All you special summon with is UFO Turtle usually, and because it's UFO Turtle's effect or something like that, I believe it overcomes Royal Oppression, but you barely special summon anything else apart from Monster Reborn. So they've saved me a couple of times. Everyone runs Darks, so 3 Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors. Even if you win your first match, you'd probably want to get rid of Royal Decree for this lot. Another thing to remember is your opponent will see on your first round that you run Royal Decrees and might take out a lot of the traps. So that leaves you free to run amok with traps like Shadow Imprisoning Mirror and Royal Oppressions. Other than that, if you know your opponent plays a lot of weak monsters, whack in Inferno in there. Again, especially with the creature swap, it's quite devastating because when it destroys a monster, your opponent takes, was it 1600 damage or something ridiculous like that? 1500. So yeah, weak for a reason. There you go. If someone's running tokens, dandelions, blah blah blah, then you want to put in Infernos. And then Raging Flame Sprite, if someone's running level limit area Bs, gravity binds, blah blah blah, then this will soon power you up to unrealistic levels and again destroy your opponent in a matter of a couple of turns. So that's the Volcanic deck in a nutshell. Side deck, pretty bog standard. I run 2 Armory Arms in this because a lot of your monsters are 1-star and /2-star. So yeah, I've got 2 of those, otherwise it's bog standard stuff there. And that is it. So again, remember, this is a very unique deck which doesn't have all the support that it should have, but it will serve you very, very well. So on that front, as this is such a weird deck, obviously ask me any questions in the section below, and definitely give it a whirl because it's very, very unique. And obviously, if you like what you saw, as well as like the deck itself, give us that good old thumbs up. You know, I love it when you guys like my unique decks like this. Another request which has been put in a lot lately, actually, I'll just throw out there, is Obelisk, Battery Man, and there was something else as well which I can't remember on the top of my head, but I'm not going to stop making decks for this game, not yet anyway. As long as you guys keep liking it, I'm going to keep on pumping out the decks and duels for you. So on that note, you guys take care, and I will see you again very, very soon.